I'm done with you two. Just die here. My husband left those words hanging in the air as he abandoned me and our 4-year-old daughter in a snowy mountain. Within the dense wilderness, I had no idea where we were. The icy winds bit into our bodies, making us shiver uncontrollably. We just have to follow Grandma, my daughter suddenly exclaimed. I looked in the direction she pointed, but there was no one there. Still, I decided to follow her lead, because my beloved daughter has some strange power. My name is Nancy, a 32-year-old remote worker. I met my husband Mark, of the same age, at a group blind date. Mark was a charismatic entrepreneur since college and a smooth talker. I fell in love with him and decided to get married. Mark's family was well respected in our local area, so our friends admired and envied our relationship. Shortly after our wedding, at the request of my in-laws, we moved in with them. They were kind people, but my mother-in-law required constant care due to her frail health. Nancy, I heard you are a nurse. My wife is so frail, and I've been so worried. We are grateful that you came into our lives. If I can be of any help, I am more than happy to do so, I replied. I quit my job as a nurse to take care for my mother-in-law and started working from home, as I always wanted. I've always enjoyed web designing and creating websites, so I turned my hobby into my profession. It was a job I could do at my own pace, without any strict deadlines. However, one thing that bothered me was that even after 3 years of marriage, we hadn't been blessed with a child. Mark's business was thriving and expanding, opening branches here and there. But he got carried away with his success, frequently going out and rarely coming home. Listen, Mark, your mom isn't doing well. You should spend some time with her. I'm sure she wants to see you, even if she doesn't say so. Huh? You are there for her, aren't you? I'm busy. No matter how much I pleaded for his mother, Mark didn't listen. I wanted to show our child to my bedridden mother-in-law, who didn't have much time left, and I felt guilty that I couldn't do that. I'm sorry we couldn't give you a grandchild yet. Don't say that. I'm satisfied to have a daughter like you, Nancy. My kind mother-in-law was like my real mother, since I lost my parents at an early age. On days when the weather was good, I would take her for walks in her wheelchair, or make nutritious soft-boiled food that she could have with ease. I did my best to make her life comfortable. One day, she called me to her bedside. I'm glad. You're going to have a lovely daughter soon. She'll be born around the time jasmine will bloom, so name her Jasmine. I would be delighted if that's true. I was puzzled by my mother-in-law's strange words, thinking that maybe her sickness was causing her to hallucinate. Not long after, she passed away, leaving me utterly devastated. I had been by her side every day for the 3 years since we got married. Not long after the funeral, I discovered I was pregnant. The due date was in July, the season for Jasmine. Just as my mother-in-law said, it happened, and I was stunned, but more so, I was overwhelmed with joy. I couldn't wait for Mark to come home, so I could share the news. Mark, listen! I'm pregnant! Wait, really? I'm not good with kids. I don't think I want any right now. Hey, are you being serious? If you want to have one so bad, go ahead, but I'm not taking care of it. You'll have to raise it on your own. You're deciding to have it, so you better figure out the finances yourself. I was left speechless by his harsh words. I could smell alcohol on him every day when he came home from work. His clothes reeked of sweet perfume. I had a good idea where my husband Mark was spending his time. For him, I was merely a convenient housemaid who took care of his parents. But I couldn't give up on the precious life growing inside me. I managed to get the necessary things using the money I saved from when I was single and the earnings I had from working. And just as my mother-in-law predicted, our daughter was born during Jasmine's blooming season. We named her Jasmine. She was a beautiful child with glowing skin, who resembled my mother-in-law in some ways. Jasmine grew healthily, but she was a unique child. She would laugh and wave her hands when no one was around since she was a baby. When she started speaking broken words around the age of 2, she began talking towards the family shrine. "Grandma, do you like Jasmine? Jasmine loves Grandma too." Even when I asked Jasmine who she was talking to, she just smiled. When she was 3, I often saw her deep in conversation with someone in the corner of our loft. "Hey, Jasmine, who are you talking to, and about what?" "Well, Grandma said she will give me her bracelet in the drawer." "Grandma did?" "She said she knitted them using the fabric of her favorite sundress." Intrigued, I opened my mother-in-law's drawer, and there I found a hand-knitted bracelet. Watching Jasmine happily wearing the bracelet, my father-in-law murmured nostalgically, "Ah, those were made from the sundress my wife loved to wear when she was young, so she made them into bracelets. She was skilled at knitting." Surprisingly, it seems that Jasmine can truly communicate with my deceased mother-in-law. But fearing it might bring some harm to her, I decided not to disclose this to anyone. Our days were peaceful, but the good times didn't last forever. Mark was out splurging and abandoned his work. His company was now on the verge of collapsing. We could barely afford our living expenses, relying on the money my father-in-law provided and my earnings. Eventually, Mark had to ask his father for financial help. Thanks to that, his company was somehow able to recover. But would Mark, who continued to lead a carefree lifestyle, change? I was feeling skeptical. One day, Jasmine started saying something concerning. "Daddy is planning to do something bad." "What do you mean?" "I don't know, but Grandma seems worried. She told me to be careful." I didn't quite understand what she meant, but her words lingered in my mind. What kind of trouble could Mark get into? Is it something related to his company? A woman? Money? I thought about it, but without any evidence, I couldn't confront him. But just to be safe, I started carrying a voice recorder. And I told my daughter not to tell her father that she could see her grandmother. It was because I had a vague feeling of unease. Then I found numerous receipts from strip clubs and bars while going through Mark's stuff. Despite the company's financial struggle and even after asking his father for help, his habit of going out hadn't changed. I also found a note saying, "Consult the gang about the plan." What was the gang referring to? If what my daughter says is true, my mother-in-law has been warning us. It might be indicating that danger is approaching for me and Jasmine. I got shivers running down my spine. For several weeks afterward, I was on guard, but in the end, nothing more happened. Gradually, my sense of caution was pushed to the back of my mind, and I resumed my daily life. One day, my husband, unusually in high spirits, spoke to me. "Thanks to Dad's assistance, my business is doing better, and we're making greater profits. So, how about we go on a family vacation after a long time?" Long time? More like for the first time. "Oh, is it?" Jasmine was so young. I booked a hot spring near an amusement park in the mountains. Jasmine will surely be thrilled. Is that so? My heart was wavering. Though there are still some doubts about my husband, I couldn't completely ignore the desire to believe him, who was showing his gentle face, like old times. If my husband has genuinely changed his mind, this could be an opportunity to mend our relationship. With this thought, I agreed to the family trip. And as I prepared for the trip, I gradually forgot about what my daughter had said and was excited about the long-awaited trip. On the day of the trip, I was surprised to see the rental car my husband had borrowed. It was equipped with snow-tread tires, which made me slightly afraid, thinking we were heading into a snowy mountain. But I couldn't refuse at the last minute, fearing it would spoil the trip and my husband's mood. I quietly sat in the back seat of the car driven by my husband, with my daughter. But in hindsight, I should have been more cautious. More than an hour after our departure, it felt like my husband was driving deep into the mountains, saying we were heading to the hot spring. Moreover, there was quite a lot of snow. Soon, we passed by the interstate and started driving on a side road, and I thought something was wrong. "Hey dear, isn't this road strange? Do you think there would be a hotel on a mountain trail that's this off the interstate? Are you sure we're on the right route?" But my husband didn't answer anything and continued driving, his frightening face frowning, looking straight ahead. Feeling anxious, I held my daughter tightly and bit my lip. And then, on the path where there was no road, my husband abruptly stopped the road. "You two are of no use to me anymore. Sleep quietly here." Saying that, my husband dragged me and my 4-year-old daughter out of the car. "Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be taking your phone with me." "Wait, dear!" No matter how much I screamed, my husband ignored me. And the moment he started the car, he turned to us, smirked, and drove away. No way. We were left behind. Snow was falling all around, and we didn't even know where we were in the thick forest. My husband had taken my phone, but I had secretly put a spare one in my backpack. Unfortunately, there was no signal, and I couldn't call for help. Still, from the moment the car left the interstate, I had a bad feeling, and both Jasmine and I were wearing our winter coats and had our backpacks on. Moreover, since it was winter, I had many things packed in my bag, for in case anything happened. Although I thought it would be fine, my daughter Jasmine's words had been lingering in my mind. I had prepared various things just in case, but I never expected this to happen. The wind that blew was as cold as ice, making me shiver down to my core. I took out a disposable hand warmer from my backpack, warmed my body, and calmed Jasmine down by giving her a caramel candy to chew on. Even as I did this, the snow only got worse, and it seemed like we were going to end up stranded, all alone. What should we do? As I was at a loss, Jasmine suddenly shouted out, "Mom! Grandma is saying she's coming over here!" I looked in the direction Jasmine was pointing, but there was nobody there. No, I couldn't see anyone, but it seemed like Jasmine could. "We should do as Grandma says." Jasmine confidently started to walk, and I decided to follow her. After all, she has a mysterious power. That's why I believed we'd somehow make it. I think that's what I wanted to believe. I walked carefully through the accumulating snow, holding Jasmine's hand tightly so as not to slip. "Mom, I see a light! Grandma is telling us to go towards it." Indeed, I could see a light in the direction Jasmine was pointing. We're saved, I thought, feeling like I was about to burst into tears. "Thank you, mother-in-law." I quietly whispered my gratitude to my mother-in-law. Finally reaching a hotel at the foot of the mountains, we decided to rest there to warm up. I had put extra cash in my backpack, so I knew we could stay for a while. And now I began to plan my revenge on my husband. "Don't think I'll forgive you for this. I'm going to thoroughly investigate why you wanted us dead, so be prepared." 5 days later, I contacted my father-in-law. My father-in-law was very surprised to hear from me, but when he found out that Jasmine and I were safe, he was very happy and came to pick us up from the hotel. According to my father-in-law, my husband had been telling people that my daughter and I fell into a valley in the snowy mountains and died. I was flabbergasted. On top of that, he apparently said, "We searched, but couldn't find them. It doesn't look like we'll be able to find them until spring. And it's sad to leave it at that, but we're going to hold the funeral first." Despite my father-in-law telling him to wait a little longer, he was going ahead with the preparations. Furthermore, my father-in-law handed me something. With that, I found out a shocking truth. Upon visiting my husband, sure enough, preparations were underway for our funeral. Large photographs of Jasmine and I were being displayed as portraits. Then, Jasmine and I suddenly appeared on the scene. "What? How come?" The relatives helping with the preparations were shocked, almost dropping to their knees. Stunned and staring wide-eyed at us, my husband blurted out a silly voice. "Huh? You're alive?" "Unfortunately for you, we're alive and well." How?" "You thought we would die as you planned, didn't you? After you left Jasmine and I deep in the snowy mountains." "What are you talking about?" People around us began to stir. No surprise there. If my husband intentionally left us, even though he told everyone we had fallen into a valley in the snowy mountains, this would be a serious crime. "Stop lying!" "Can you say the same after hearing this?" I played an audio from the hidden voice recorder I had. "I don't need you guys anymore. Just die here." Mark's voice echoed, and the people present started to stir even more. "I never said that. She's making up lies." He tried his best to shut me up, but his face was pale and his mouth was trembling. To finish him off, I played a video from my phone. In the video, Mark said, "As planned, I abandoned them in the snow-capped mountains. With the life insurance money from my wife and daughter, my company can recover, and I can also enjoy a luxurious lifestyle. Of course, I'll also repay the loan I took from your group with some extra, so please, wait a little." The video perfectly captured him on the phone with someone in the car. He tried to shut off the camera in a hurry, but it was too late. Everyone was whispering, giving Mark cold, scornful looks. "How did this get out? Who was it?" "I asked your father to copy the footage from the dash cam in the rental car you used." "Dad, you abandoned your own son? Why would you side with a complete stranger?" Mark said as he confronted my father-in-law. However, it seemed that my father-in-law was very angry, glaring at Mark with a terrifying expression. "Well, it's no surprise that he would abandon you. After all, you secretly took out a large life insurance policy on not only Jasmine and me, but also on your father." I wonder, when you mentioned group, did you borrow money from a sketchy organization and then targeted our lives? Unbelievable. My father-in-law stood imposingly, thrusting a life insurance policy he found in Mark's drawer at him and shouting, "You were planning to kill me too, weren't you? You wanted all my assets to yourself, didn't you? How dare you call yourself my son?" And so, with accusations from his father and evidence piling up, Mark, now cornered with no way out, made a startling statement. "Look, everyone ended up alive, so it's all good, right? I was forced into doing this by loan sharks. I had it tough too, so forgive me. Don't make me laugh. There's no way I can forgive you. I'll be reporting this to the police." "No way! We're a family! You can let this slide, right? Please?" And so, Mark got on his knees and bowed in front of us. My father-in-law and I looked at each other in disbelief. I'm sorry. I'll change my ways. Please forgive me. Spare me from the police. I'll turn my life around. With his forehead rubbing against the floor, shedding tears, snot, and drool, Mark made a truly pitiful sight. There's absolutely no way. I'm utterly disgusted with you. You can go to hell. Mark probably expected his apology to solve the situation, though hearing this, he was shocked. One of the relatives who had been listening to our exchange had apparently reported it to the police, and the police arrived to take Mark away. In the end, with all the evidence against him, Mark was convicted of a serious crime for attempting to take the lives of his wife, daughter, and his own father. He will likely be behind bars for a very long time. My husband's company went bankrupt, and it's clear that his life will be miserable even if he gets out from jail, as his family, including my father-in-law, have all turned their backs on him. Furthermore, his friends who led my husband astray have also been arrested. We obviously got divorced, and I won full custody of our daughter, Jasmine. In addition, at the earnest request of my father-in-law, Jasmine and I formed a special adoption bond with him and received his inheritance as a gift while he's still alive. Now we live with my kind father-in-law. He and I enjoy watching over Jasmine's growth. My father-in-law often tells me, "Find a good man and get remarried. I will give you my blessings." But for now, I have no intention of getting married. I am more than happy with my life right now. The other day, Jasmine whispered in my ear, "Grandma says she's glad, but we can't meet her anymore, so she's saying goodbye." It made me a bit sad, but if it means that there's nothing my mother-in-law needs to protect us from anymore, then I guess it's a good thing. Dear mother-in-law, I will protect Jasmine with everything I have. I made a promise to her today as I placed my hands together in front of her grave.